An unfortunate circumstance, and the only thing that we could define this as is just a humongous tragedy in New Orleans, as the Peach Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, has had to be moved to today at 4 o'clock Eastern due to the killings of over 15 people in New Orleans. The game was supposed to be played last night, and out of precaution, they decided to move it today. This is a tragedy of epic proportions here in this country, naturally, and they're still investigating this both in New Orleans and in Houston, Texas. But needless to say, our show that covers sports and sporting events needs to keep you informed as to what's going on with this game, because it did affect the start. Now, the game initially was postponed 24 hours out of caution. They've decided to now move the game up to 4 p.m. Eastern. So Georgia Notre Dame kick today will be 4 o'clock Eastern at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. The CEO of the Sugar Bowl, Jeff Hundley, talked about the tragedy in Louisiana.
Good afternoon. Obviously, we wish we weren't here for this reason today. The Sugar Bowl Committee has a 90-year history of being a good corporate citizen for the city of New Orleans, and that's why this tragedy hurts us as much as anybody right now. So our condolences, thoughts, and prayers go out to the victims and their families as we all work through this. Of course, anytime we have a major event in the city of New Orleans, public safety is paramount, and we have full governor and the mayor and all the assets, the federal, state, and local resources that they've applied to this event so that we can ultimately bring those responsible to justice and carry on with the major events that we have in front of us. Speaking of which, we were scheduled this evening to have a CFP quarterfinal played in the Superdome at 7:45. We have been in consultation with ESPN, with the College Football Playoff, with the Southeastern Conference, with the University of Georgia, with Notre Dame, all parties, and all agree that it's in the best interest of everybody and public safety that we postpone the game for 24 hours.
Scott Farrell, Coast to Coast, has you covered during the game today. He's on at 3 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, the point spread has moved in favor of Notre Dame. Georgia, once a 1-point favorite, now a 1.5-point dog. Total of 45.5, 4 o'clock Eastern later today. Also, last night in college football, one of the best games we've seen all bowl season, and there have been a lot of them. Texas ends up beating Arizona State in overtime, 39-31, and a wild game that the Longhorns led basically from the start until the fourth quarter. In fact, they led by 2 touchdowns, but Arizona State just fought their way all the way back to this one and almost won a couple of different occasions. Here's Steve Sarkisian as they head to the next round of the college football playoff.
As far as our guys go today, not our cleanest game of the year. Then that's okay to say that. But the one thing that I know about our group is when our backs are against the wall and when our best is needed, our best shows up time and time again. And the resiliency that these guys showed today was something that, as a coach, makes you really proud. You know that we weren't at our best, and it felt like a NCAA March Madness basketball game with the swings of emotions and things. But 4th and 15 in overtime to score, to come right back and score again, 2-point conversion, and then a great play by Andrew Makuba. Just proud of these guys, because not every game is going to be pretty, and not every game is just going to go exactly how you want it to go. And there's going to be plenty of stuff that we're going to look at this tape and say we got to do better and be better. But the one thing I won't have to say is that our toughness and our fight doesn't need to be better. And if there's one thing that you want as a calling card for your team, is just that. And so I think it's a tribute to these guys up here and their leadership and the culture that we have and their ability to stay calm through the storm and execute when, like I said, when our best was needed.
And meanwhile, Arizona State, as a near 14-point underdog, almost pulled off the upset of the bowl season. Kenny Dillingham, who just got a new contract extension with Arizona State, said nothing to be ashamed about.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country we faced today. We started off not so great. And the way the guys battled back is remarkable. Like I told them, if they could rewind in the locker room, I hate to lose more than anybody. But now that it's over, when you can reflect, and boy, these guys have come is an incredible testament to the team. But golly, that one sucks.
Indeed, a great season for ASU this year. Nothing to be hanging their heads about, that's for sure. All right, Ohio State wins 41-21 last night in the Rose Bowl. This wasn't much of a game. They beat Oregon and led this game by 4 touchdowns. Like, as soon as you turned the TV on yesterday, they just completely dominated this game from start to finish. Oregon scored some late touchdowns to, in fact, push this over the game total. But Ryan Day, a few weeks ago had lost to Michigan, and they were calling for his head. Now, all of a sudden, he's 1 win away from the national championship.
Well, in this game, there are ups and downs along the way. And, when things are going good, you got to hug the guys you love the most. And when things aren't, you got to hug them even harder. And you just hang in there and you keep swinging. And, I talked to these guys about it a couple weeks ago. That's life. And this team is resilient. And when you surround yourself with great people, with great character, you find yourself working through difficult times. And at the end of the day, we wanted to win a national championship. And the way that we got here wasn't what we expected. It wasn't what we planned for. But nonetheless, we had an opportunity to come back and play Oregon after we'd already played them early in the season. And that's the only thing that mattered. And the guys have been doing a great job of staying focused. The staff has stuck together, but the players have stuck together. And they're fighting to continue to stay together because, the winner gets to play together another week, and the loser doesn't. So, those guys have worked hard to stay together, and now we've got an opportunity to go play Texas, and a lot of football ahead of us.
So the winner of today's Georgia versus Notre Dame game will play Penn State as the Nittany Lions beat Boise State 31-14 in a game that was not relatively close, although Boise did have their opportunities to cover the spread several times. Unfortunately for Boise backers, they did not. The biggest bowl upset of them all was Michigan upsetting Alabama 19-13. They were up to 15.5-point favorites in this game where Michigan dominated on defense from start to finish. In case you missed the squabble yesterday, Illinois ends up winning 21-17 in the Citrus Bowl over South Carolina. And Brett Bielema, the head coach of the Illini, mocked South Carolina's sideline, making the substitution sign. There was a trick play in the game. They were fighting on social media about it. If you want to go check it out, it's pretty funny. Also, Miami, the Hurricanes, fired their defensive coordinator, Lance Guidry, after they basically couldn't stop anybody all season long. One other bowl game tonight, 7:30 Eastern. Ole Miss now up to 17.5-point favorites. They take on Duke tonight at the Gator Bowl. In the NFL, Jair Alexander going to miss the remainder of the season, including the playoffs for the Green Bay Packers. The Rams have a game this coming weekend against the Seattle Seahawks. That means nothing to them, so they're going to be sitting their starters, including Matthew Stafford. Saquon Barkley's chase for the all-time rushing record is over. He's not going to play for the Eagles this weekend, and it looks like the Miami Dolphins will be starting Tyler Hundley in their game this weekend against the Jets.